Honey, the things I know now, if I would have known them then, life might be a little different for me.
Welcome to Without a Doubt, the podcast, where we explore the transformative journey of breaking cycles and embracing our truest self. I'm Mad, a cycle breaker, a creative, and a sprinkle of reality. If they ever told you to be quiet, sit down, blend in, but you couldn't, this podcast is for you. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for getting on and doing this with me and spending your time.
Of course, of course. I love this for you. I really do. I love this for you because you've always had an entrepreneur mindset, and you know my daughter, you know my children, and that's one thing that I really can commend the younger, and I'm going to say younger generation on, is you guys aren't just so set in you have to go to work and get benefits and have a 401k and retire with a pension. And I mean, you guys are willing to do the hard work. And if you're going to work hard like that, why not work hard for yourself? The blood, sweat, and tears, to pay off in a good way for you guys. And I think it builds character. And I think it really has you guys to realize that you're capable of doing anything. And that just wasn't instilled in us, when we were younger. So, honey, the things I know now, if I would have known them then, life might be a little different for me.
Okay, I think the main reason why I know the main reason why I was thinking about you, and I was like, I really needed to. I meant to ask you like a few weeks before I even sent you that message, but I don't know. Life just slips on by, and I haven't been truthfully like motivated to have any guests on here in a while.
Yes, yes.
But I was like, you know what? We watch we watch each other on Instagram and TikTok. Like you like literally everything I post, and I think I try to do vice versa, but just because I truly love the stuff you post.
Right.
And you always are now talking about authenticity, and like you really post and do things as you, but I feel like ever since it's weird the how long I've actually known you, because I did go to high school with your daughter, and like me and Brittany weren't friends in high school, but like then I ended up working with you at Orange Theory. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's kind of like in my life you've been in this like universal bubble
Yeah,
of mine.
circle. It feels like a full circle to me.
Yeah, and it's like interesting how like sometimes you know somebody or you are drawn to people, but you really have always been super authentic to yourself. Like when I worked with you, you always were just you.
Right.
But you talk about it so much now. I feel like on your page, because you did get certified, right, as a life coach.
Yes, I did. Yes.
And I love that for you, even though I hate so much on everyone who's like, I'm a coach, I do this, because I'm just a fucking hater.
Right.
And everybody tells me, Madison, you should be a life coach. And I'm like, you know what? Everybody essentially could be a life coach.
Yep.
It takes literally figuring out who the fuck you are first.
For sure. For
And
sure.
I think you like pursuing that is so true to you though, because
Right.
you are so truly yourself. And I
Right.
think that's why you talked about your kids. They are who they are because of you, Lisa.
And you know what, Madison? It took a long time for me to realize that. I'm just like, man, they hustle, they got that grit, they got that grind. And every once in a while, they'll remind me, like, Mom, I am who I am because of you. Like, I saw you,
Yes.
going through a divorce with Dad. I saw you working two jobs and trying to get your degree. And they don't even realize that I was doing that because I was in survival mode. Like, it's what I had to do. It wasn't something that I just decided that I'm going to wake up this morning and I'm going to go out there and be a badass. It just so happened that that's what it looked like, you know, for them. And they tell me, we don't know how you did it, but you never let us see the struggle. And let me tell you, it was some days, baby, that I thought, I couldn't make it, but they don't realize like the fight in me that I had was me fighting for them. It was like, they got used to living a certain life and becoming accustomed to having certain things. Like, I had that imposter syndrome. I was telling myself, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, these things can only be accomplished in a two-parent household. And boy, did I trick myself. I'm telling you, Madison, some mornings till this day, I still pinch myself and say, girl, this your life. Like, you did the damn thing. Like, you made it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it wasn't an easy path, but let me tell you, I would suggest to anyone that has that opportunity of a crossroad of, do I take the easy road or do I take the hard road? I will put my shoes on again and again and take that hard road and go through what I need to go through and know that the lessons that I needed to get from that was going to bring me to the life I have now. The past life that I have, and I call it the past life because it's a part of what I went through to get here. I'm so grateful and appreciative that that part of my life was at an early stage, and is somewhat dissipated for me to have to rebuild my new life. And now, like, I'm so happy and I'm so joyous in knowing that the rest of my life is this life that I get to live. You know what I'm saying? I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that. And I will put those shoes on again and go through it again if I was guaranteed that this is the life I could have at the end. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
I see you living it, Lisa. I see you and I love it. Like, I honestly, when you, I see it. Like, I watch you and like I love that. And the real, true, authentic person. I don't know if you really were always like that. I feel like it has to has you've always been yourself, because I think how could you have gotten this far, raised
Mm-hmm.
two kids the way that you did, even though it's hard. I think it's hard to take credit because I also, when you talk about how your kids feel, that was my mom, how I felt. I feel the same. I come from a single family, single mom. My
Mm-hmm.
dad was not around. My
Mm-hmm.
mom had, I don't know how she did it. We always say that I never felt like we struggled. My mom, girl, my mom struggled, like, I mean, we've had, and my mom is now back to waitressing. And my
Right.
mom, something, she's a normal average job and she's still raising two boys that live with her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
life isn't super easy, but she is grateful and she is where she is because of the things she had to do then. And I am the entrepreneurial spirit, the girl that wants to make my own money, my own way, and work my own success, because I watched her
You're right.
constantly work seven to
Yep.
seven. And my mom missed so much because she was the only income,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of times our moms don't give you guys enough credit. You don't give yourself enough credit because your kids are literally your little gifts that you guys have made. You wrapped us into these little presents to the world.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like really special that you do have, both of them are very successful, your kids. Like, Brittany has a very successful gym,
Mm-hmm.
and your son, I don't, Lord knows he's traveling somewhere in another country right now.
He's actually in Indonesia
See, there you go.
in right now. And let me tell you, Madison, to see them both be as successful as they are, their goal, probably like a lot of ours at some point in time, some of us just weren't able to do it that way, is the time freedom. I don't think
Yes.
a lot of people realize it's not the money that really drives people to want to be entrepreneurs and be successful. It's the free time that they allow themselves by being able to get up when they want to get up. They actually sometimes simplify their lives and sacrifice certain things so they can still have that time for freedom. I think there's a misconception in entrepreneurship for some. Like, everybody doesn't have the same goal, and everybody doesn't have the same drive. Some people want millions of dollars, but guess what? You can have millions of dollars and still be miserable as hell.
Fuck
I'm
yes.
like, you know what I'm
Money, money, more problems. It
saying?
is
Yeah,
it is a real thing.
yeah,
Lifestyle creep. And honestly, this is true, Lisa. Like, what happens when you make that much money? How do you ever come back down
right.
to making less and living on less when you've had all that?
Yep, yep. And not just that. Listen, if you were an asshole before you got money, you're going to be an asshole when you get money. So it doesn't matter. It's not going to change the perspective of who you are as a person and your character. You just got more money being an asshole. So
No joke.
money is not driving some people. And I wish those that are going in that direction for money would stop feeling like that should be everybody's goal. I say find what you love, do what you love, and if it's meant to turn into something for you monetarily, the money is going to come. It's going to come, but it's also about character building, how you're choosing to live your life, the stories you're willing to tell and listen to in order to create that success. Again, let's go back to authenticity. Are you showing up as yourself, genuinely,
Yep.
who you, or are you living a lie and creating this facade and changing all of these hats, feeling like, well, I have to be this person in order to get this or in order to get that. Um, Madison, I don't have the energy to do that. Like, I'm so happy with being who I am and comfortable with showing up authentically with who I am. I just feel like my vibe is going to attract my tribe. You know what I'm saying?
And it
And
will. And it
one
does.
about me and the people that I associate with, they know who I am. They know what they can get from me. They know what they can count on me for. And if it's nothing else they know about me, I'm the realest person in their life. If you want the truth, but you know it's coming from a place of love, and you know it's coming from a place of authenticity, then ask Lisa. And sometimes, listen, it might come out not as smooth as it should or honey coated, but baby, this realness right here, just know it's coming from a good place. And I always lead with love, and it's always for the best interest of the individual that's trusting me and what it is they're coming to me for. Me giving it to them in a way where, it's palatable, but it's also honest. I don't know any other way to be, and I've never been someone that walked around and pretended or try to fit in. I'm always the girl that try to stand out,
Me
baby.
too. Me too, Lisa.
Hey, what I'm saying?
Me too.
I've never tried to fit in. I'm trying to stand out. Like, I'm not trying to be like everybody. I'm trying to be myself. And again, it's going to be good for some and not good for others. And I'm okay with that as long as I'm okay with who I'm showing up as. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. And I love when you're talking about, or I'm going to go back to the whole time freedom thing about, you know, a lot of people are chasing, people think a lot of entrepreneurs are just chasing the money. And it, I most, if you've listened to this podcast, I literally have had my car for 15 years. I do not have a brand new car. I even say when and if I do need a new car, I will not be buying a Range Rover or my dream car because that's not really my thing. Like, I'm a very frugal, realistic human, and my goals are A, simplify. My
Right.
goals are also B, live happy, live simple. So
It's,
why would I have something that's got a crazy ass payment on it, or something that's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to buy something that I could buy something else that does the same kind of job.
right.
I'm going to spend my money somewhere else.
Right.
And I think everybody has different views and success. And I do think that this generation, my generation, AKA the millennials, and I think this isn't a point that I even touched on, but I feel like you're somebody that is truly you and beyond 50. That's something you talk about on TikTok a lot. Like, you're over 50, like blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up about your age. You're so annoying because who cares how fucking old you are? But I think the reality is not enough people, even at 50 or older, are really even living their truest selves. And they're still stuck and they haven't broken that cycle. They can't figure out how to get out of the thoughts from their parents that
Mm-hmm.
having the job that's like 9 to 5 with the benefits, with all that, is the success, and having stability versus my generation, the millennials that was raised by your generation that watched you guys hustle, 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 and make it barely and struggle, struggle. We're like, you know what? We don't want to struggle. We don't want to hustle, 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 but we will hustle for a little more time freedom.
Right.
We will sacrifice, is the word, a
Mm-hmm.
brand new car
Mm-hmm.
for more time to wake up at 9:30 without my boss texting me, for the time freedom to freelance, for the time freedom to pick up the jobs at the catering company when the fuck I want to.
Yeah.
Something, and I think that's one thing that, like, it's really hard, Lisa. And I think the millennials, like, that I don't have a brick and mortar store, but I do have an eBay store, and people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" And then when they come to my house and you come into my inventory room, you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is literally like inventory." I'm like, "Yeah, I have 1,000 things like in here that I've listed." I legitimately have a store online, multiple stores, and people don't know that.
Right.
When you tell them you're at home working, they think I'm like literally watching Netflix and smoking the bong. And do you know what I think? Like, maybe that is what I'm doing, but I'm also fucking working. I'm
Right.
monetizing what I can so that I can live the life that I want to live on my simplified terms. And it
Mm-hmm.
is very hard for a lot of people to get that. My mom, even when I worked at Orange, and I used to work 3 hours a day, which is bonkers now I think about it. I worked 15 hours a week when I worked at Orange Theory. That is why I also had that job, Lisa, as a fitness instructor.
Wow, I probably didn't even notice that until you just said.
I coached my 15 hours. That is it. Then I would have maybe one meeting. I would take a class. I stayed 30 minutes here and there. I made me work 20 hours a week. That is insane. And I was making more money than I make now,
Mm-hmm.
as I was employed by somebody else. And I think to myself, I'm way happier now.
Yeah, that's what's important.
I'm not waking up at 3:30 and I don't feel forced to get somewhere. No one's calling me that I have to be back at the studio at 1 p.m. to go into a meeting when I was already there today.
Right.
It's, I miss that kind of like community, sure. I miss
Right.
the money sometimes, sure, but money comes, girl. That's what you said.
Yep.
Money will come. Like,
Yep. Oh,
my it's a rotating door. It's
yeah.
in and it's out. Like, you make it to spend it, period.
That's it. That's it.
So if you're focused on the money and you're not focused on the other things in your life,
Mm-hmm.
what true fulfillment out there? Like, a dollar bill can buy you things, but at the end of the day, it's not going to give you the happiness inside. And I think that's why my generation, and I say millennials, like, my mom used to ask when I used to be in the middle of the day, I'd go to yoga. My mom would come and she'd be out. She's like, "What are people doing in the middle of the day? How are people not at work?" That is like the funniest comment to me.
And
I'm
guess
like,
what? I say it sometimes with my husband. I'm like, well, why is the gym so damn crowded?
hello, firefighters, nurses, like, they have all irregular schedules, and I think we have all these different shifts in the world. There's like the morning, the mid shift, the night shift. The world
Mhm.
is ever going. And it's really interesting sometimes because if you work a 9 to 5, you are in this little bubble and you don't think anything else exists.
Yep.
And that's the biggest problem with This is what people think is success when there's all this out here. And I think my generation, my millennial, my little like I had to teach Kendra that. I had to teach my partner that because she wasn't even raised in that. I wasn't raised that way, Lisa.
Right.
But my grandparents had candy stores when like that. My grandpa had a restaurant in New York. My other grandpa had a sub shop. I come from like a little line of men who had small businesses. Not that I ever saw them work them.
Right.
I like to work, but I also I want to do it myself. I want my own money, my own way. I'm glad I learned it this early, and I'm not telling you it's easier. It is sometimes it's hard. I wiped my savings account out last like 2 years ago, just
Right.
living off.
Right.
But it's okay. Like I was like, girl, I'm doing my own shit. It is okay.
And you know what? It's funny you say that because my kids, we're very transparent. We're very close. It was us for a while. When me and her dad was no longer together, where we really had to lean into each other, and we have like conversations about, you know, um, what are the different challenges and stuff in entrepreneurship and stuff. And I know it can be challenging, and I know it can be difficult. But this is where I say, you guys, this is what I appreciate about how, the hustle and the grind and you guys is a little different than us, because you could easily run back to what we were raised to believe is job security. Man, like, Harry, why are you going to do that? Why are you going to struggle? You don't have to do that. You can go and get a job. There's jobs out here. You guys are like, no. Like, I know this is just for today. I know this might even last a week. I know this uncomfortableness might even last for a month, but I am so willing to do the work to still have my time freedom. And then when you give yourself that little push just to get to that next moment of, whew, I can breathe a little bit, I'm like, damn. Like, that is some serious hustle, some serious grit, and some serious grind. But what you guys are telling me when I have these conversations with my children, and now having this conversation with you, it's like, I'm worth that fight,
Yeah.
worth that hustle. I'm worth that grind, because if you're not doing it for you, you are going to be doing it for somebody else at a 9 to 5 or a 2 to 10,
Whatever.
whatever, forever. You know what I'm saying? And
It's like,
whichever route individuals want to take to make their money or create their time freedom or create that life which they consider a luxury. Because again, it's not about money. It's just about being happy,
yeah.
waking up with a smile on your face, turning a key into a home that you've made your home. Whatever you decide to put in there, whatever it is that's making your heart smile, whatever's making you feel good, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's a non-judgmental thing, but do what feels good to you. And that's, at the end of the day, that's really what's important. That's what's important. Everybody isn't going to fit into the same box.
No.
Whatever box you choose to put yourself in, shit, you might not even want to go in the box. You don't want them four walls. You want to just know the sky is the limit. There's no glass ceilings to be broken. But whatever it is that makes you feel good, that makes your heart beat, that makes you get up in the morning and feel good about the life you created, that's what you keep doing. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you're working for. That's what you keep working towards. And whatever uncomfortableness you experience on the way, whatever hoops and hurdles you have to jump over and jump through to get there, keep pushing, keep going. That's what's important, is that you feel good with yourself at the end of the day. And honey, you could get under that fan, butt naked, booty blessed, baby, in those sheets and in that bed, and take your ass to sleep and feel good about your day.
I think that's the most important part.
Yep.
I think, that's the true authentic part of living life, and a lot of people don't live that.
It
Do you
matters.
think did okay, so for a long like do you think that this is a new feeling for you, like since you in your 50s, or have you always felt like true? I know you said everybody has imposter syndrome. It's like the new term of this time, right? But there probably wasn't a term then. But you were probably always doing things your way, like you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You like this isn't new to you.
So what I'm realizing now, in my 50s, is that who I was then is who I am now, but on 1,000 now. And the reason for that is I'm a product of my childhood. Me being my outgoing, bubbly self for kids and adults who didn't have my personality, they somewhat helped me suppress that because, oh, nothing is funny like that all the time, or what you smiling for? Like, they used to take their stuff and put it on me. So my happy-go-lucky, bubbly self was suppressed very early on. But the moments that I got to experience it with those individuals that appreciated it, and people like my grandmother that told me, Lisa, you're special. It's a gift. The way you show up in people's lives and how you're jovial and you're joyful, um, made me realize that it was okay for me to be the way that I was. It's just certain people didn't understand it because they didn't experience. But my grandmom keeping my light burning inside of me until I could get to an age where it was okay for me to show up being who I am. Like being happy all of the time, being silly, you know, um, bringing joy out of people, being honest, being loving, being nurturing. It was okay. I just was sharing that gift with the wrong people.
Yeah.
And once I became older, I was a young mother, I was a young wife. I stepped into that role and I became everything I thought I was supposed to be, to be or live into that role that I saw my mother, step into with my dad and for us as her children. And I'm realizing, Madison, even that person wasn't fully me because it was after that um, separation from my children's father, and which led to a divorce, that I finally had to revisit. Okay, Lisa, who are you? Like, what do you like? And that's where that unboxing had to take place, and that took some time.
Was that
It took,
hard?
it was very difficult. It was very difficult because I realized there were some things about myself that weren't even my stuff. It was put on me, and I transformed myself in certain ways to be who I thought was going to be acceptable to people that I wanted to love me different and accept me different. And once I did all of that unboxing, like this Lisa started coming out, but it came out um, even more flourishing. I blossomed even more, and I continued to bloom in my adulthood because it's just like, damn, like I worked hard for this to find this person again. I think she was just suppressed.
Like, what were you in your
And
40s?
yes, for sure, early 40s. And I say all that to say is it's an ongoing learning experience. It never stops. Growth never stops. I know it's going to be a life journey for me. And even though I really had to experience it in my 40s. Now it's this 50 thing where it's just like, listen, I done lived half of my life. Like when I tell you I did the work, and if I can't show up at this age, at this big old age as myself, baby, you just not for me. Like you just not for me because I fought so hard to get this person back and to see that it's okay for me to show up as her and still be embraced, still be accepted, still be loved on, and in a different type of love, a different type of acceptance, a different type of embrace, and a more genuine one where it's like I'm not compromising this version of myself for anyone, friends, family, foe, or hoe, baby. This is it. This is what you gonna get. And it's gonna be enough or it's not. And I'm okay with that. Before I wasn't okay with that. I would revamp myself, transform myself, and say, hey, well, maybe if I do this, I could be accepted. Maybe if I say this or do this that way, it'll be, easier for me to fit in. Madison, I don't care about that anymore. I'm not
It's overrated.
willing to go back to that person just to be embraced. Because I paid my dues, man. I
No,
paid
because Lisa, the wrong people are embracing you when you are not being the truest version of yourself. Those are,
yeah, yeah.
you're attracting, like, that is, I was gonna say, I was gonna ask you, like, what's one thing that you could share or go back, like, that is like the one best thing you probably said. Exactly what you just talked about. Being who you are, regardless, like, not fitting in is the one thing that I think everybody needs to learn. Like, I'm in my 30s, and it took me
Hmm.
this year, my therapist told me, Madison, stop trying to sit at all these other fucking tables.
Woo,
You are the head of a table, girl. Everybody wants to come to your table. You
yep.
don't need
Better,
to sit at anybody else's table. Everybody is looking at you at those tables because those are not your tables.
yeah.
And when everybody comes to you, they flock to your table and they're always looking and they're always checking and they're watching because you are the head of a table.
You are it, baby. That's why I tell you better build your own table. If it's tables that you're not being invited to and that you're not being accepted at, that,
Make your own table and pull up your own fucking chair.
yep, that
They
is.
will come.
I went to a women's retreat last year and we had circle time. And the two circle times prior to that, um, I felt like I was kind of regurgitating what it was I really want to work on. That circle time is pretty much for us to just talk about, what it is we want to see happen differently in our life. This last time, because I had really started coming into myself and getting really comfortable with how I was feeling, the choices I was making, creating boundaries and stuff like that. I surprisingly said that I wanted to start working on not watering myself down in order to make others feel happy. And it was like, what? Like everybody was like, what? This is the watered down version. This is the watered down version of you. Like, who would have thought that like you could be more than what you actually show up as? And I said, believe it or not, I think I was realizing, Madison, with some people, again, I felt that tussle. I could be myself and they genuinely embraced me. But with others, because they weren't happy, because they were miserable, because life might not have been going so great for them, what I would do is I would water myself down and not be happy and not be jovial because I felt bad that it seemed like I was rubbing my happiness and my joy in her face. And that's not even what I was doing intentionally. I was just showing up as myself. But for some apparent reason, their energy, you can tell by what a person's saying and what a person is not saying.
Because when you were growing up your whole life, everyone did that to you.
Yes.
That is
So,
what you're used to doing,
and I'm
like
like,
watering yourself down.
yes. And I was like, wait a minute. It came back. I'm realizing it's coming back, but it's only coming back around certain people. And it gave me that connection of where I was feeling this from. And I was like, that imposter syndrome. I'm like, no, we're not doing this no more. I said, I refuse to be uncomfortable or water myself down because I've done some work on myself. And again, it's a life journey, but
Yep.
my presence actually made people that were not trying to heal, that weren't healed, that were still broken, uncomfortable. But I couldn't even celebrate myself. And I said, no, we can't do this no more. I'm not willing to, again, it's a price I'm not willing to pay anymore, Madison. And it was said to me, so you're not showing up joyful because the other person or people that you choose to be around aren't finding joy and your joy. They like, that's not your problem.
Nope.
That's not your problem. That's something they need to fix.
Yep.
But do you realize you are suppressing your gift to others? For those that appreciate it, for those that don't, Madison has showed up again. And girl, all I needed to do was hear that.
You needed the reminder.
And I said, no, I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So it kind of gave me the green light again, like, Lisa, like, girl, you better show up as yourself because it's somebody that's going to accept you exactly the way you are. So I know you were going to ask me the question, what would I tell somebody in a younger stage if I had to do it all over again? If there was questions I needed confirmed, coming into myself. And when I say coming into myself, I mean coming into me, the person I was always supposed to be, and the person I always knew I was. But again, other individuals' insecurities and stuff became mine. So I had to find myself again. Know that you are enough. Who you show up as is enough. And for the individuals that try to put out your light, remove yourself. Remove yourself immediately and permanently. You don't need your light dimmed. And be the individual that's never trying to fit in. Be the individual that will always stand out. You are who you are because that's who you need to be for other people. And those people will find you. You don't have to go look for them. Like you said, Madison, you don't have to sit at their table. You don't have to wait for an invitation.
Nope.
You pull up a chair until your table is built and you stand firm on that. That knowing who you are is enough. And you keep showing up as your authentic self.
I think more people need to live by that, Lisa. And I think I think that's the main thing, though. Most people aren't living that way because they don't feel they're good enough. They don't feel they're worth it. I mean, it's amazing because I think like okay, so I call it supper club. I go to dinner with my grandma and her friends,
I
and I
see
love
it.
and I love like they tell my grandma, invite Madison and Kendra, invite them, bring them. We love them. And one of them said to me, she's like, "You are so lively."
See that?
And I was like, and sometimes I definitely went through a really hard year this year, and I've kind of shared it a little bit. Like I went through my own depression this year, and I lost my own spark this year. And
Yep.
I too, I feel a lot of what you're saying. I'm like, I kind of got a little like welted up inside because I'm like, you know what, Lisa, I lost it. And I for so long kept saying, like, what do I really have to offer to this world? Like, not like in any sense like that I don't deserve to be here, but I'm like, I'm just like everybody else. For a moment, I was in that little wallow pitting of like, I am not special. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And
Like,
I went, what am I doing? And then I'm like,
right,
it's,
man.
you forget, like, it happened to you and it happens to everybody
Yep, yep.
that you just sometimes need a little reminder. You need somebody like going to supper club and the lady telling me that I'm so lively. And I'm like, you know what? 4 months ago, I wasn't. Four
Hmm.
months ago, I wouldn't have even come to dinner because I didn't want to do that.
Right,
You
right.
know, I think a lot of us are so stuck in the rat race, the 9 to 5. We're not focusing on what we really want in our life. And we're just grasping at straws. Like I think
Mhm.
most people are living like that.
Right.
And when you really like exactly what you're really living to be yourself, you really feel that you are worth it. You really have self-worth.
Hmm.
You find purpose of just being who you are. It does
Yeah.
you don't have to be the brightest light. You don't have to be the most famous person. You don't have to be the person with the biggest podcast following, the most likes on your TikToks. You just have to hear it from one person that your message mattered. And that's sometimes all it takes. And I think we forget that humankind needs that.
Yep.
And I think you're like, when you keep saying you're a gift, and it's because so many people are not walking around like you. So many people are not walking around saying good morning. So many people are not just happy to be here
Hmm.
that it's true. Like, I don't know. I think that's why I hate going out because I talk to a lot of people, not intentionally, but like I'll just say good morning or I like something that somebody is wearing, I will tell you. I will say I love your shoes. If your outfit is on point, I am like, girl, you work that outfit.
Right.
I am that girl because not enough people are being told that they look fly, they look nice. Their energy is the energy we need. We all need those reminders from
Yeah.
strangers
And you get it more from strangers
than your
outside
own family,
your own,
your
you
own
know,
circle.
your own circle. And sometimes that's okay. Again, whoever gets it, Madison, are going to get it.
It's
You
those
understand?
people coming to your table. They do not have to be the people you already know.
Yes. And I think, again, it goes back to like not feeling anything about you needs to change. You showing up as yourself is going and will be enough. And you have to know that about yourself. Yeah, those comments are nice. And yeah, sometimes we do, you know, doubt ourselves, but that's where that self talk is important. That's where making the time that you make for individuals are people that are going to pour in your cup when you feel empty. Your association, making sure you're putting yourself in places with people and doing things that make you feel happy, that are constantly pouring into you, because you got to think about it. If you are not showing up as the best version of yourself, what can you really help somebody with? You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes because we know we're gifts to people, because you're a gift also, and I hope you know that about yourself. Because we are gifts to people, it's very important that every once in a while, when we get around those individuals that pour into us and stuff, they give us that confirmation and that reminder that we're gifts, so we can keep showing up
Yeah.
as that people need. I think it's very important. Your association, who you deal with, what you consume, all of that stuff is a part of you keeping, your light bright.
Yeah.
If you're around somebody who's constantly unhappy, or their conversations are always negative, and you see they're on this like hamster wheel in life all the time, it's just like, it's okay, Lisa, to have boundaries. It's okay to not participate in that. You got to give yourself permission for a lot of things that
Don't
maybe,
serve you.
right, you used to enjoy and you no longer do. Honey, it's called growth, baby. It's called growth.
And it's okay to change, and it's okay
Yeah.
to find new things.
Medicine, if things don't change, they remain the same. If things don't change, they remain the same. And
Honestly, I honestly want to say they usually don't. And thinking about that, and Lisa, they don't usually remain the same. If anything, they start to tarnish, they get more worn, they get more wear,
yep,
they
yep,
erode. Not they're only good for so long,
big,
and then they digress. And I'm on the growth journey constantly,
yeah,
like you.
for sure.
Anything I can to pour into myself,
Yeah,
including saying no to things
yes,
that I need to do for me. And it's selfish in some ways, and that is okay. That is truly learning your true authentic boundaries. Even you're not wrong. You're right. The growth needs to happen. You can't.
I don't want you to think it's selfish, because it's not.
Selfish
Man,
is okay.
it's necessary. It's necessary for you to choose you every day, all day. It's necessary for your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health to choose yourself every waking moment in life.
um Let me
You
remind you, we are the main character in your own life. Like, it is Madison's world over here. I don't know about you, Lisa, but I am the main character here.
girl, you better. I ain't no stand in, I ain't no standby, I ain't no extra. Main character energy, honey. That girl, why is that in my subtitle? Social media, main character energy. Yeah,
Yes, that is how I live.
yeah.
And I honestly, and I know other people see that, because I hear other people asking Kendra, like, oh, you just like, I'm like, it's I must make everyone feel like that. I just like, I got the world. Like, I got everything in my hands.
That Madison, that is a gift. That
I feel it. Somebody just told me this from my high school days, Lisa, that you know you don't, as you grow, as we evolve, as people see you, a girl that I've known since I was 18
right.
had didn't have to remind me, but happened to remind me, and was like, you used to walk into a room and the energy was just like, people stopped, like,
It.
it's
Yep.
just you. And
Yep.
I was a big girl at that point, Lisa, in my life. I was not skinny. I was not small. I did not think I was pretty at that time. Like, it's an energy thing. It
Yeah.
was,
Oh, say that, Madison.
it's owning who it is. Energy. It's owning who you are and knowing that about yourself. And I think maybe I always knew that. Like, I think a lot of us who know this about ourselves know it. And it is
Yes.
always like, it was suppressed. You were like put back in your box. I was always put back in my box. Like, you're
Yeah.
too much. You're too loud. Be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, thank you, in my 30s, I'm learning it like it is coming
I'm
harder in like this fast wave. But
happy for you,
speak it
Madison.
out. Speak. Be that person, because not enough people are sharing and being vulnerable and giving out the gift, like you keep saying.
Yep.
Like,
It's
we
a
all
gift.
have, but everybody really has it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a matter of the being just who you are.
Yes. Not being afraid to talk about it, not being vulnerable. Listen, it's your story. It's your life. It's what you went through.
Yep.
And you don't know who else it could help. Like I used to kind of be ashamed of what I went through because again, what you're going through, you don't talk about it. You kind of find your group of people and you talk about it, but you don't need everybody in your business. And I do understand that to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
To an extent. But I'm very mindful of who I share my life with because I am not one um who shares like a very huge part of my life with a lot of people. I mean, what I give you on social media is what I choose to give you, but my life outside of that, girl, it's a whole world over here, a whole world being lived over here. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, especially if you're utilizing your platform properly and stuff like that, like my story is one that can change one life, two life, three lives. Who knows? But the point is I'm not ashamed of it. It's who I am. It's a thread in me. It's a part of who made me who I am today. And I'm proud of me. Like I'm happy to be who I am. Like I love this me. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a big deal if I share certain things or whatever. I'm not ashamed of it. And again, that's just a part of me showing up authentically. And I'm going to tell my story way better than the stories you might have to tell about me, honey. Trust me.
Right.
I'm going to tell my own
Let me
story.
write my own story. I don't need
Yes.
you to write it for me. Right.
My own novel, honey, from the beginning to the end. It's no secrets, it's no closed books. You're not going to be able to come and tell me anything about me or anything to anybody about me because I'll tell my own story. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it.
It's literally owning who you are, Lisa.
Yeah,
Period. You
yeah,
know? And
yeah.
it's I think our stories, they do make you who you are. The shittiest parts, those little dark parts, the parts where you really don't feel like you were even good enough. Like
Right,
all
right.
of those things really do make us at the end of the day, like those little levels, like, in my life, I think of it like I have like this tall stalk, and like each stalk has like a little bloom, and then the next one's blooming.
Okay.
It's like we're just like on this journey of blooming in my
Yeah,
world.
that's what it is.
Flowers for me.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
And it's not always going to be a bloom. I'm telling you, my plant is sometimes just green leaves. But
Girl,
you can't see any of the work happening, but it's getting fertilized and I'm doing the little things and the next bloom will happen.
yes,
And you
yes.
might not even see or know that the bloom is happening because I'm doing it quietly. But
You're
you
right.
know something? I
You're right.
think
The most important thing is you keep planting them seeds, honey.
yes.
You keep planting them seeds. And even though you don't see it when you're supposed to see it, you're going to receive it exactly when it's supposed to be given to you. Trust me on that.
I know. And
Trust
I'm
me.
I'm living on my little quote of 2024 is like what is meant for me will not miss me. Like that is my universal. This was this past year's. Obviously, this podcast is coming out in 2025, but
You,
it's true. If you're living on your own terms, the things that are meant for you are going to literally just like it's like a bird to a clear window. They will smack you. Like
yes, they will. They'll show up. Trust me, they will. Just when you think it's not coming, baby, that thing gonna show up and it's gonna show up so on time. It's like, man, why did I even question that? Like I already know how life go. Already know how life go. And it's funny you talked about bloom. Look at this. I keep this on my wall. You see it? It says
yep.
bloom. It says bloom. It says bloom where you are planted. Bloom where you're planted. And guess what, Madison? We planted everywhere, girl. So
We
we
are
everywhere, girl.
worldwide, Lisa. My little
Yes.
seeds are
Yes.
getting blown by the wind too. Trust.
We got to keep sprinkling our gifts, honey. We got to keep sprinkling our gifts because that's what they are.
And they are. And even if you don't know it, if you can't find it, you'll find it. You will find it. I think like if you can dig a little deeper, and I'm going to share my little thing as we get towards the end of this episode. My little thing is like if you really can start to uncover the things you truly love to do, not
Yes.
monetize them. I'm not saying go out and make money off everything you do because that's the
Right.
millennial mindset, right?
Right.
But if you really can go out and do the things that you like to do, it does spread joy. And the joy spreads a lot further than you realize. And it really starts with you.
Yes.
And it doesn't take a lot to find joy. It just takes a little uncovering something new, sometimes a little spark. And it's not too late. It's not too late if you're in your 30s. It's not too late if you're in your 40s. It's definitely not too late if you're in your 50s.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Tell you, to me, honestly, it feels like my life is just getting started.
girl, I was literally having a little mini meltdown the other day thinking, I'm like, I'm going to be 35 this upcoming year. Like, and then I saw an Instagram reel and they're like, most people die like between 70 and 80. So if you're 40, you're technically halfway through your life. And like, then I started to get like this anxiety thing in my mind. Like,
Right.
I need to buy land and move and do what I want because I'm going to be too old to do that. And I'm going to be
Right.
45 in 10 years. Like, I went through this crazy spiral. And then I
Right.
was like, slow down.
Right.
You're
Right.
fine. Like,
You are.
girl, what do you when you're ready to do that stuff, it'll go. Like, relax. And I think that we're just all too rushed in life and
Yes.
we're too rushed. We're too focused on the wrong things. Focus on yourself, focus on what makes you happy, and literally the rest will come. And
It medicine. It really and truly will. And just the simple fact that you have plans, you have those things in the forefront of your mind when you talk about them. They're just reminders of what you would like to achieve. So just make sure you keep them there. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Make sure you keep doing what you're doing to work towards their goals. Like that whole 2025 coming, like new person, new me. No, I'm it's not even about that for me. It's like, okay, it's a new year, yes. Let's see what type of goals I have, in the forefront of me. Let me see if realistically they're achievable. Like, those are the talks I'm having with myself. I'm not putting any unnecessary pressure on myself. I'm not giving myself specific deadlines on where or which things have to be done. It's like I know I'm going to get there, and as long as I'm putting one foot in front of the other, and I know those are my end goals, I'm just going to keep working towards them. But the pressure and stuff like that, it's just not worth it to me anymore, at this stage of my life, because I feel like I'm very blessed, and at this point in time, anything that I'm supposed to have, like you said, it's not going to miss me. It wants me just as bad, and when it's time for me to have it, I'm going to have it. I'm just going to keep working on me and working towards the things that I want myself and my family to have.
that's all we all got to do.
Yep,
Stay in your lane and you'll be happy, period.
for sure.
Lisa, I am so happy you joined me today. I'm going to add your do you take any clients for life coaching or any of the above?
I do, and my link is actually in my IG.
Okay. So what
It's
I'll
in,
do is I
it's
will put it in my show notes. So if you are interested in working with Lisa, you're looking for a life coach, you're looking for someone who is truly true and authentic to themselves and can help you find maybe your gift if you're still missing that. This
yes.
wasn't even why I had Lisa on here. I was like, I just really want somebody who's going to be a good vibe to talk to for an hour. Somebody who's on my universal wave because that's where I've been.
Thanks,
And
and I appreciate you.
like, I do appreciate you and like the love you share. And I think I just love we need more people like you on this planet. So
And you too, girl. You too, girl.
You know I love you, Lisa. So
Love you.
I'm going to add to the show notes. And if you want to reach out to Lisa. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was fun.
It was very fun.
And I do appreciate your time always.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Mwah.
Thanks, Lisa, for being here. And I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. And by the way, if you love this podcast, let me remind you that you sharing this is one of the greatest ways to help my podcast just grow. If you don't already follow this, hit the follow button, give it a rating, do something with this that can help this go from where I am now to somewhere greater. You have the ability to help me be a bigger podcaster. I love you for being here, and you can always find me on YouTube, Instagram, or anywhere you listen to your podcasts. See you around and catch you next time. Bye.